When my daughter-in-law told me I deserved to rot in a nursing home after she drained my late wife's $3.2 million life insurance payout, she had no idea I had already hired a forensic accountant who was tracing every single dollar she had stolen. What she did to my family over the next 6 weeks was so calculated, so heartless, that I decided to dismantle her entire world piece by piece. Before we continue, please subscribe to Father's Peaceful Revenge. Turn on notifications because we have new stories every day. Leave a like and tell us in the comments what city you're watching from. My name is George Sutton. I'm 66 years old, and I live in a 4-bedroom colonial in Savannah, Georgia, the same house where my wife Linda and I raised our only son, Tyler, and where Linda tended her magnolia garden every Sunday morning until the lymphoma made it impossible for her to stand. Linda passed away on January 9th, 2025, after 14 months of treatment that took everything from her except her dignity. She was 63. The day she died, Tyler held her left hand and I held her right, and the last thing she whispered was, "Take care of each other." Tyler is 38. He married Brooke Calloway when he was 29, and for the first few years, I genuinely believed she was the best thing that ever happened to him. She was charming, articulate, always the first to offer help at family gatherings. Linda adored her, called her the daughter she never had. I should have seen through it earlier. Looking back, the signs were always there. Brooke never visited Linda at the hospital unless Tyler was watching. She asked about the insurance policies before Linda's diagnosis was even confirmed. And during those final weeks, when Linda could barely breathe, Brooke was the one who volunteered to organize all our financial documents. "Let me take this burden off you, Dad," she said with that warm smile I now recognize as a mask. It started on Monday, March 3rd, 2025, 7 weeks after the funeral. Tyler called me that morning, and his voice sounded strange, flat, rehearsed. "Dad, Brooke and I have been going through Mom's paperwork, and we found something important. Mom had a separate life insurance policy through her old employer at Savannah Regional Medical Center. It's worth $3.2 million, and it names me as the sole beneficiary." I felt the blood drain from my face. Linda had worked as a head nurse at Savannah Regional for 31 years. I knew about her employer life insurance because we had discussed it dozens of times during her treatment. The policy named me as the primary beneficiary. Linda had been absolutely clear about that. She even joked about it during one of her better days. "George, when I'm gone, you better spend that money traveling and not just sitting in your recliner watching baseball." "Tyler, that policy names me," I said carefully. "Your mother and I reviewed it together with our insurance agent, Donna Prescott, less than a year ago." There was a pause. Then I heard Brooke's voice in the background, sharp and impatient, coaching Tyler on what to say next. "Dad, you're confused. Grief does that to people your age. Mom updated the beneficiary last March. Here's the paperwork. I can bring it over." That evening, Tyler and Brooke showed up at my door. Brooke did most of the talking, while Tyler sat quietly, staring at his shoes like a boy who had been told what to do. She handed me a folder with what appeared to be an official beneficiary change form from Linda's insurance provider, dated March 15th, 2024, switching the payout from me to Tyler. I looked at Linda's signature on the form. It was close, very close. But after 41 years of marriage, I knew my wife's handwriting the way a musician knows a melody. Linda always crossed her T's with a slight upward flick to the right. This signature crossed them flat, and Linda never abbreviated her middle name. She always wrote Catherine in full. This form said C. "I need a few days to process this," I told them. Brooke's eyes narrowed for just a fraction of a second before her smile returned. "Of course, Dad. Take all the time you need. We just want to make sure Mom's wishes are honored." After they left, I sat in the kitchen for 2 hours without moving. The house was so quiet I could hear the grandfather clock Linda had inherited from her parents ticking in the hallway. I wasn't confused. I wasn't senile. I was a retired civil engineer who had managed $40 million infrastructure projects for the city of Savannah. I knew how to read documents, and I knew my wife's handwriting better than I knew my own. The next morning, I went straight to my study and opened the fireproof safe behind Linda's bookshelf. Inside were our original insurance documents, including the beneficiary designation form Linda had signed on April 2nd, 2024, in front of Donna Prescott, clearly naming me as the sole primary beneficiary. The date on Brooke's forged form, March 15th, 2024, was 18 days before the real document was signed. But here's what Brooke didn't know. Linda had been hospitalized from March 8th through March 22nd for her second round of chemotherapy. She was physically incapable of visiting any office or signing any document on March 15th. I had the hospital admission records to prove it. My hands were shaking, but not from weakness, from anger. Brooke hadn't just forged a document. She had exploited my wife's illness, stolen from my family, and turned my own son into her puppet. Over the next 4 days, I conducted my own investigation with the precision I had applied to every engineering project in my 5-year career. I called Donna Prescott at Southeastern Life Insurance. Donna had handled our policies for 15 years and had attended Linda's funeral. "George, I pulled Linda's complete file the moment you called," Donna told me. "The last beneficiary change on record is the one Linda signed in my office on April 2nd, naming you as sole primary beneficiary. There is no change form dated March 15th in our system. If someone submitted one, it was done outside our standard process. Could someone have submitted a forged form directly to the claims department? It's possible. During a death claim, the volume of paperwork is enormous. If someone submitted a convincing forgery along with the death certificate and claim forms, it could have been processed without cross-referencing the original file." "George, are you telling me someone forged Linda's beneficiary designation?" "That's exactly what I'm telling you, Donna." On Friday, March 7th, I met with an attorney named Patricia Holloway, a former prosecutor who now specialized in insurance fraud and elder financial abuse. I had found her through a recommendation from my old colleague at City Hall. Patricia had a reputation for being absolutely ruthless in court, and when I spread all my documents across her conference table, her expression went from professional interest to barely contained outrage. "Mr. Sutton, this is textbook beneficiary fraud combined with elder financial exploitation," she said, after reviewing everything for 90 minutes. "The forged signature, the impossible date, the manipulation of your son to serve as a front. This isn't amateur hour. Someone planned this carefully. My daughter-in-law, Brooke Calloway. Based on what I'm seeing, I agree. The question is whether your son Tyler was an active participant or a manipulated accessory. That question haunted me. I wanted to believe Tyler was a victim of Brooke's manipulation, but the fact that he had called me and lied to my face suggested he was at minimum complicit. Patricia filed an emergency fraud complaint with the Chatham County District Attorney's Office that same afternoon and simultaneously initiated a civil action to freeze the insurance payout. Because the forged form had been used to redirect a death benefit, this wasn't just civil fraud. It was a felony under Georgia law, carrying up to 20 years in prison. On Monday, March 10th, I received confirmation that a judge had issued an emergency order freezing the $3.2 million payout before it could be distributed. But when I checked with Donna at Southeastern Life, she discovered something that made my stomach drop. "George, I have bad news. A partial advance of $400,000 was already dispersed to an account in Tyler's name on February 28th, before the full claim review was complete. It was flagged as an emergency hardship advance. The request cited funeral expenses and outstanding medical bills. Linda's funeral cost $12,000. Her medical bills were covered by insurance. There were no hardship expenses. I know. The hardship claim was also fraudulent. That $400,000 was already gone. Over the following days, I discovered exactly where it went. Brooke had used it to put a $120,000 down payment on a Mercedes-Benz GLE for herself, paid $85,000 toward a luxury condo lease in downtown Savannah, spent $60,000 on designer clothing and jewelry, transferred $80,000 to an investment account in her name only, not Tyler's, and blown another $55,000 on spa retreats, first-class flights, and restaurant bills. She had burned through $400,000 of my dead wife's money in 5 weeks. While I was still putting flowers on Linda's grave every Sunday, I decided it was time to stop watching and start acting. On Wednesday, March 12th, I called Savannah Regional Medical Center's HR department and requested a meeting with the benefits administrator, Claire Jennings. Linda had worked there for 3 decades, and many of the staff still remembered her. Mr. Sutton, your wife was one of the most respected nurses in this hospital's history, Claire said when I explained the situation. I'm horrified that someone would exploit her death this way. We will cooperate fully with any investigation. Claire pulled the original employer group policy records and confirmed that Linda's beneficiary designation on file with the hospital had never been changed. It listed me, George Sutton, as sole beneficiary. There was no record of any modification request, no correspondence, and no phone calls regarding a change. Whoever forged that form never even contacted us, Claire said. They went straight to the insurance company, bypassing the employer entirely. That's actually what makes this easier to prove. The chain of custody is completely broken. On Thursday, March 13th, Patricia Holloway called me with news that accelerated everything. George, the DA's office is moving fast on this. They've subpoenaed the surveillance footage from the insurance company's claims office for the week the forged form was submitted. And George, they found her. Brooke Calloway personally walked into the Southeastern Life branch office on February 20th and submitted the forged beneficiary change form, along with Linda's death certificate and the claim paperwork. She's on camera. She even signed a submission receipt with her own name. The stupidity of it stunned me. Brooke had meticulously forged Linda's signature, but then walked into the insurance office herself, on camera, and signed her own name on the receipt. Her arrogance had been her undoing. What happens now? Now we move to phase 2. I've coordinated with the DA's office. They're issuing an arrest warrant for Brooke Calloway on charges of insurance fraud, forgery, and elder financial exploitation. Simultaneously, I'm filing a civil suit to recover all disbursed funds and seize any assets purchased with the stolen money. That night, I did something I had been dreading. I called Tyler. Not to confront him. Not yet. I needed to understand exactly how deep his involvement went. Tyler, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me. Sure, Dad. What's going on? Did you know the beneficiary form Brooke showed me was forged? The silence lasted so long I could hear him breathing. Then, quietly, Dad, Brooke told me Mom changed it. She showed me the paperwork. I believed her. You believed her over me? Over your own father who told you the policy named me? Brooke said you were confused. She said grief was affecting your memory. She said Mom had confided in her about the change because she didn't want to upset you, and you didn't think to verify any of that? You didn't call Donna? You didn't check the safe where your mother kept every important document? I trusted my wife, Dad. You trusted your wife over your dying mother's wishes. Tyler started to cry. Not the theatrical crying of someone performing remorse, but the choked, ugly sobbing of a man who was beginning to understand he had been used. Dad, I swear I didn't know it was forged. I swear on Mom's grave. Don't you dare swear on your mother's grave. Not after what's been done to her memory. I hung up. Whether Tyler was genuinely deceived or willfully blind, the result was the same. He had helped Brooke steal from me without asking a single question. On Friday, March 14th, at 7:30 the morning, 2 detectives from the Chatham County Sheriff's Office arrived at Tyler and Brooke's apartment with an arrest warrant. Brooke was taken into custody and charged with 3 felony counts. The Mercedes was impounded from the parking garage. A lien was placed on the luxury condo lease, and all accounts containing funds traceable to the stolen insurance money were frozen by court order. Tyler called me 17 times that day. I answered on the 18th. Dad, they arrested Brooke. They took the car. They froze everything. What is happening? Consequences, Tyler. That's what's happening. But she's my wife. She's sitting in a holding cell right now. She should have thought about that before she forged your dead mother's signature to steal $3.2 million. Dad, please. There has to be a misunderstanding. The insurance company has her on camera submitting the forged documents. She signed the receipt with her own name. There is no misunderstanding. The phone went quiet. Then Tyler whispered something that told me everything I needed to know about the man my son had become under Brooke's influence. Can you bail her out? She's scared. I almost laughed. My daughter-in-law had stolen my wife's life insurance, called me senile, told me I deserved to rot in a nursing home, spent $400,000 on luxury goods while I was grieving, and my son's first instinct was to ask me to bail her out. Tyler, listen to me very carefully. I am not bailing her out. I am not dropping the charges. And if you choose to stand with the woman who robbed your mother's grave, then you are choosing to stand against me. You're making me choose between my wife and my father? Brooke made that choice for you the day she forged your mother's signature. Over the next week, the full scope of Brooke's scheme unraveled. Patricia's investigation revealed that Brooke had been planning the fraud since before Linda's death. She had hired a document specialist through an online forum, paying $5,000 in cryptocurrency to create the forged beneficiary form. She had practiced Linda's signature for weeks, using samples she had photographed during those helpful visits to organize our financial files. Most devastating of all, Patricia discovered that Brooke had opened the investment account in her name 3 months before Linda died. She had been preparing her escape plan. The $80,000 she had transferred there was intended as her personal safety net in case things went wrong with Tyler. She wasn't just stealing from me. She was preparing to eventually steal from my son, too. When Tyler learned about the investment account in Brooke's name only, something finally broke through the fog she had kept him in for 9 years. He showed up at my door on a Tuesday evening, alone, without calling first. He looked like he had aged 10 years in 2 weeks. His clothes were wrinkled. His eyes were hollow. Dad, I need to tell you something. Then say it. You were right about everything. About the forgery. About Brooke. About all of it. I went through her laptop last night and found the emails with the document forger. I found the practice sheets where she traced Mom's signature over and over. I found search histories for how to change life insurance beneficiary after death and elder financial exploitation penalties. He paused, and his voice cracked. She even searched how to have a parent declared mentally incompetent. That was her backup plan. If the forgery didn't work, she was going to have you declared unfit and take control of your finances through conservatorship. That revelation hit me like a physical blow. This woman had sat at my dinner table for 9 years, eaten Thanksgiving meals Linda had cooked, received birthday gifts we had carefully chosen, and the entire time she had been calculating how to strip us of everything we owned. What do you want from me, Tyler? I don't want anything. I came to tell you I'm filing for divorce. And I came to apologize for being so blind and so weak that I let this happen to you and to Mom. An apology doesn't fix what's been broken. I know. I know that, Dad. But it's all I have right now. Over the following months, the legal system moved with the thoroughness Patricia had promised. Brooke was formally indicted on 7 felony counts, including insurance fraud, forgery, identity theft, and elder financial exploitation. She posted bail using money from a relative and immediately attempted to contact me through 3 different attorneys, offering to return the remaining funds in exchange for dropped charges. Patricia's response was simple. The state of Georgia is prosecuting this case. Mr. Sutton doesn't have the authority to drop criminal charges, even if he wanted to, which he doesn't. The Mercedes was seized and sold at auction. The condo lease was voided. The investment account was frozen and eventually returned to the estate. In total, approximately $340,000 of the $400,000 advance was recovered through asset seizure. The remaining $60,000, spent on consumable luxuries, was added to Brooke's restitution obligations. The $2.8 million balance that had been frozen before distribution was returned to Southeastern Life Insurance and properly paid out to me, the rightful beneficiary, in June 2025. In September, Brooke accepted a plea deal, 5 years in state prison, followed by 10 years of probation, full restitution of all stolen funds, and a permanent restraining order prohibiting her from contacting me or accessing any Sutton family financial accounts. Tyler's divorce was finalized in October. He lost the apartment, most of their shared possessions, and what little savings he had left. He moved into a one-bedroom rental near the River District and got a job as a warehouse supervisor, the first real job he had held in years. During his marriage to Brooke, he had bounced between freelance projects and vague startup ideas, all funded by money she controlled. I didn't speak to Tyler for 4 months after Brooke's sentencing, not because I hated him, but because I needed to know if his transformation was real or just another performance shaped by desperation. In January 2026, exactly 1 year after Linda's death, I visited her grave and sat on the bench I had donated to the cemetery in her name. The magnolias she had loved were dormant for winter, but I could picture them blooming the way they did every spring when she would drag me outside to admire them. "Linda," I said quietly, "our son made terrible choices. He let a woman he married rob us blind. But he's trying now. He's working an honest job. He volunteers at the food bank on Saturdays. He visits your grave every week. I've seen the fresh flowers." I sat there for a long time, and in the silence, I heard Linda's voice in my memory, clear as the day she said it. "People aren't their worst moments, George. They're what they do after." The following week, I called Tyler and invited him to dinner. Not at a restaurant. At the house. At our kitchen table. He arrived 20 minutes early, wearing a clean button-down shirt that I recognized as one I had given him for Christmas 3 years ago. He brought a small potted magnolia. "For Mom's garden," he said. "I know it's winter, but I thought we could plant it together in the spring." We ate pot roast, Linda's recipe that I had spent the entire afternoon trying to replicate. It wasn't as good as hers, and Tyler knew it, and we both laughed for the first time in over a year. "Dad, I need you to know that I understand if you can never fully trust me again. I should have seen through Brooke. I should have questioned her. I should have protected you instead of enabling her. Yes, you should have. And I need you to know that I'm not asking for the insurance money, or the house, or anything. I've removed myself from your will voluntarily. I called your attorney last week. That surprised me. I hadn't asked him to do that." "Tyler, why?" "Because I need to prove to myself that my relationship with you isn't about money. It never should have been. Mom knew that. She always knew that. I used a portion of Linda's insurance to establish the Linda Sutton Foundation for Cancer Nursing, a scholarship fund for nursing students at Savannah Regional Medical Center. Every year, 3 students would receive full tuition scholarships in Linda's name. It was the legacy she deserved. One that would train hundreds of nurses over the decades, each one carrying forward the compassion and dedication that had defined Linda's 3 one-year career. Tyler donates $100 every month to the foundation from his warehouse salary. It's not much, but Linda would have said it was everything. We're not the family we were before. We may never be. But every Sunday morning, Tyler comes to the house, and we plant something new in Linda's magnolia garden. We don't talk about Brooke. We don't talk about the money. We talk about Linda, about the recipes she loved, about the way she hummed hymns while she gardened, about the life she built that no forged signature could ever truly steal. Some betrayals break a family forever. Ours almost did. But Linda raised Tyler before Brooke ever got to him. And somewhere underneath the years of manipulation, the son she raised is still there. I see him every Sunday, hands in the dirt, planting magnolias for a mother whose memory he is finally learning to honor. If you enjoyed this story, give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. To hear the next story, click the box on the left. Thanks for watching.